Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wonder Series, your weekly wonder, time to wonder. We are here to help you to how to be, how to do, how to think differently, and how to really think outside the box. Dare to wonder and figure out how different life could be when you do that. I'm Denise Stegall. I'm the CEO and curator here at livinghealthylist.com. And of course, I am your host of the Wonder Series. I'm really excited to speak to our special guest today, who is Sandy Haddick. Sandy is with Dreams Are Forever Travel. So she is my amazing travel agent, and she is just so full of information, knowledge, wealth, and she's a lot of fun too. Sandy, welcome.
Thank you, Denise. Thanks for the introduction.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about you. Instead of me reading your bio,
Sure.
let's tell people who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So I have been passionate about travel, I want to say pretty much my whole life. It started for me when I was about 8 years old. And I don't know if you remember, but back in the day, I'm going to date myself here, but back in the day, when you wanted to go take a trip, you had to go into a travel agency. There wasn't the internet. So my very first memory of planning a trip was I asked my mom, because we would go back and see my grandparents in South Dakota every other year. And we would either start from California where we lived and then later move to Washington State. So either way, I asked her if I could, plan our trip. We had a trailer, and my mom thought, gosh, what a good lesson, because I'd have to figure out how many miles we'd go per day or whatever. So at about 8 years old, I had her take me into the AAA office, got that triptych, got the big tour book, and off I went planning our journey to South Dakota. So that's where it really started for me. And as I grew, I was in the corporate world in supply chain and logistics. So I got to know the world that way and how it moved. And I always planned travel on the side for family and friends. I was always the go-to. I always wanted to be a travel entrepreneur, just waiting for the right time. And when we moved from Washington State to Minnesota State, my husband said, now's the time. Go see what it takes. Go take a look. And so off I went, and it's been 7 years for me now, and I love what I do. I plan travel for solo, single people, couples, families, groups, destination weddings, you name it. I've done it, and I really love the process. I want people to have a travel experience, not just a trip. That's what it's all about.
I think that's really important, because anybody can book a trip. That's not such a big deal, but it is the experience. And I speak from experience, because you booked an amazing experience for us, for Mark and me, a couple of years ago in Bordeaux. And yeah, I could have booked a hotel or I could have booked the flight, but I never would have been able to find all of the nuances and the nooks and crannies and all of those special things that you as a travel agent, had access to.
Yeah.
So I think that
great. Thank you.
That's really, one of the, if not the number one reason to talk to your travel agent, who should be Sandy Haddick from Dreams of Forever.
Well, yes,
and it is the experience.
Yep. And I love that, I don't want to take the fun away from people, so they can plan as much or as little as they want. And I have a few clients where, they start with an idea and we just bounce off of one another. And, we don't charge a fee because we get paid by the hoteliers, tour operators, car rental companies, etc. So it's really a win for both the travel agent and the client.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So travel the last year or so has basically stopped, and we're getting into a little bit more now. So tell us, how do we start traveling again?
Sure. I think that people are really going to start slow, and they have started slow. I think we're going to see a lot of domestic travel Last summer, as well as this summer, I think the national parks are going to be rather busy in the United States. I think a lot of domestic locations are going to get a lot of business. Florida had one of their busiest summers last year. I expect that again, through this summer as well. People just wanting to travel. So I think what's important to know about that is different states still have different rules and regulations. You still have to wear masks in airports. You're still going to wear them on the planes. You might have to wear them indoors in some states. It's really important to pay attention to where you're going and what those requirements might be. So to look on the U.S. State website, search for the state the destination is, and take a look at what they're doing. I think that's really important to be able to respect their guidelines. They're welcoming tourists. Everyone wants tourists. So
absolutely. And I think you're right, because not knowing is, ignorance is not an excuse,
right.
Especially today with, everything is on the internet. The internet is full of the information that people need in order to travel safely and appropriately.
Yes.
So if somebody wants to start traveling, they want, national parks are going to be busy. I know last year, like you said, they were really busy. So maybe this isn't the best time if you're thinking, oh, let's go on a family vacation. Maybe national parks not the right thing. What else would you recommend to people?
Yeah, that's really a great point, Denise. And you're absolutely right. Some of those parks, in order to contain the numbers, have also required day passes, to not go over capacity. So I think you're absolutely right. I think, again, a lot of people are going to stay domestic, and I would do things, if you love the mountains, I would maybe head over to the West Coast. You can go as far down as Bend, Oregon, to start the Cascade Mountain Range. You could stop in Portland and Mount Hood. The Columbia River Gorge is beautiful. That's the gorges between Oregon State and Washington State. And it's full of mountains and trees and hiking trails, waterfalls. Multnomah Falls is quite popular, but just driving up that beautiful gorge, and you might be seeing the kite boarders that are on the river. The Columbia River runs through there. Anyway, it's just really a beautiful drive, and if you love to hike and you love the mountains, it's beautiful. And then you can continue to go north up through the Cascade Mountain Range, stopping in at Mount St. Helens, which is about a 2.5-hour drive from Portland. As you know, Mount St. Helens blew in the 1980s, and
I remember.
Yeah, and it's really amazing to see the growth that has come back. You can still, believe it or not, see some of the devastation, but stopping in at all of the visitor centers that are on the way to Mount St. Helens, and just seeing how it's progressed since then. It's amazing and beautiful. And again, lots of hiking. Head up north to Seattle, and you can go to Mount Rainier. Up north through Mount Baker, Mount Shuksan, which has Picture Lake. It's one of the most photographed mountains and lake combos in the world.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And then there's not many people know that they're called the San Juan Islands. They're part of Washington State, where you hop on a ferry in Anacortes from the mainland in Washington, head on over to San Juan Islands, and there's a state park actually on one of the islands. And you can go all the way up, again, with hiking and, trails, biking even. You go all the way up and you can see the whole sound, the Puget Sound, and it's just breathtaking. Deception Pass on the way up there. So I think there's a lot of outdoor space between Oregon and Washington. That people probably wouldn't think of because maybe they don't know about all of these places that are not necessarily national parks, but they're outdoors and beautiful. And summer is a great time to go there through September. So,
Well, I was going to say that because, usually you think Oregon and Washington, oh, the weather, but this is the perfect time.
it
And
is.
so the weather's great there. I mean, think about it. As much as people go down to Florida and head south, it's hot and muggy down there.
Right, right.
So for me, I love
Yeah,
going to Florida.
mountains is one
January.
place. Right. So mountains is definitely one place I think a lot of people, if they want to explore, those would be really great places.
Well, it sounds too that you live there for quite some time, so you're really knowledgeable about that area as well. It was funny as you were telling us about the trip up the Cascades. I was thinking I could see little Sandy with her book, like from AAA, going, "Well, Mom, it's 6 more miles, and we'll get to the visitor center."
Right. Yes.
But I think, what's really an important piece of, getting outside, obviously connecting to nature. It's something that we really haven't been able to do for such a long time. And I think many people, when it comes to travel, like summer travel, they want to go and they want to go someplace exotic, or they want to go to a place, they want to go to Europe, which of course we can't do right now.
Right.
And I think the places like the United States has so many amazing places that maybe you're right, stay domestic and find your new favorite place.
Right. Yeah.
So what about those city dwellers? I mean, people, some people love, I have a friend who's going up to Boston for a long weekend. I never really think of the city as much of being outdoors, but there are some cities that are pretty walkable, and what would you recommend for those people who just, no matter what, they still have to be near a city?
It's funny you mentioned Boston, because that is one of my favorite cities to actually just explore outside. There's so much history in Boston. For those history buffs, it's just, a playground for them. There's the Freedom Trail. The Puritans settled in Boston, and, the Boston Massacre, the Boston Tea Party. Boston had the first Latin school. They have Harvard University. It's where Benjamin Franklin and John Hancock and Samuel Adams went to school. There's Paul Revere and his history there. You can actually just grab a map and take that Freedom Trail. There's the Granary Cemetery, where so many of them are buried. You can take a duck tour. Now, the duck tour, that's pretty common in most cities, actually, where you can get into this amphibious vehicle from World War II and, take a tour around the city and then go into the water, because that's what this vehicle does. It's super fun. And you learn a lot about a city that way. But Boston, also the food, the seafood is amazing. The North End, I really feel like it's almost like walking into Italy. One of my favorite stories is one of the times I visited there. There was 2 men sitting on a bench, and there was a lady up above, and she was cleaning, and she had a rug out the window and was, taking her little broom whisk and pounding the rug to get the dust out. And the men down there, they were just talking, and they had their chains on, and she was yelling down to them that they're, what were they doing? There was work to be done. I just felt like I was right in the middle of Italy, in not even a tourist area, just right there living, and there were treats out on the streets, and you just walk into any cafe and get an amazing meal, or sit outside with your cappuccino. It's just really amazing. And one of my favorite tours, actually, from Boston is you can take a little boat to go to the Salem witch trials. So you don't even have to stay in Boston. You can still get more history from Boston and going. So it's a wonderful city. Those baseball lovers, Fenway Park is iconic.
Get tickets and go sit on the Green Monster, guys.
Yes, exactly right. So that's a city that I would recommend. And I think again, especially coming up this summer, it can be warm, but it's definitely not as warm as what you find in the South. It's not going to be muggy like that. So it's a great city.
I love Boston. We haven't been up in the last few years, with COVID the last 2 years, but it's Mark, actually, my husband went to Harvard, so we tend to pop up there. We used to go up every summer for about 5 years. We'd spent a week on the shore there, which is very different from where I grew up on Long Island. On Long Island, you go to the beach for the day and you come back. Where we would stay there, we actually stayed at a really lovely, I guess, bed and breakfast. And the beach was just right down the road. And the beach is very different. I always think, when I think of beach, I think of initially Long Island Beach. But every beach, no matter where you are, has a different, the sand is different, the texture, the sound, the water is different. What would you say, what is your favorite water place? So is it an island? Is it New Orleans? If somebody wanted to just be by water.
If somebody wanted to just be by water and they weren't looking at this as a bucket list trip or something like that, Florida is always a great go-to. The Gulf, the Florida Gulf, Clearwater, St. Pete Beach, those are great places with beautiful, expansive beaches. Domestically speaking, just like you, I'm sure one of my absolute favorites is Hawaii. I mean, it's just gorgeous, and you get not only the beaches, but you get the lush greenery, you get the hiking, you get the, go during whale season, and there's nothing like submerging yourself and just quieting yourself to hear the whales talking. It's just amazing. An amazing sound. Going to see the spinner dolphins off of Lanai, just awesome. And there's volcanoes. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yes, one which people, whenever we go out to Hawaii, people are always reminding me, like, but the volcano's erupting, and I have to remind them it's been erupting since the 1980s.
Right. And each island is a little bit different, as you know, but Maui has Haleakala and the road to Hana, where there's several waterfalls and winding roads, and again, beautiful beaches. We talked about city dwellers. Well, there's Honolulu is a big city. However, the North Shore and Waikiki Beach are beautiful. You can have the beach and your city in Hawaii. And then those who really want more of a quiet beach vacation, Kauai is perfect for that. That's all about, it's the garden aisle. It's all about being outdoors and hiking and enjoying the water sports and the roadside markets and shopping and such. So I would have to say for beach, if you want a quick, simple getaway, absolutely love Florida Gulf. If you want to make a just amazing vacation and stay domestic, Hawaii, because there's an island for everyone.
There is. I would agree. So I know, with restrictions, and I know we've talked about Hawaii. Hawaii has some restrictions. So again, it's one of those things, as you're planning, and this is why it's such a great idea to work with a travel agent, because they will know the ins and outs that you need, that you need to know as you're planning. It's never a good thing to find something out like the day before you're about to travel. So,
right.
So Sandy,
yes.
If there were 3 quick tips that you would give people for traveling this summer, what would they be?
I think the number one thing for people to pack is their patience. Travel is different than it was pre-COVID. I think things are going to take a little bit more time. I think that some things will remain closed or changed forever. I think if nothing else, what this year of pause has caused is people, companies, whatever, to rethink how they're doing business. So I do think that it might look a little bit different either for a while or maybe forever. So I think patience is the key. If you're used to traveling pre-COVID to traveling now, it's different, and you have to be prepared for that. I would say my second tip is what I had already mentioned, is know the destination that you're going to, know their requirements. Happy to help with that. Just to be respectful and to be prepared. You're going to, yes, it's still within the United States, but different states have different guidelines right now. So that's important to know. And 3 is call your travel agent. We're here to help. We're here to help you, guide you all along the way. We have your back 24/7 when you're traveling, and we can help you just have a really smooth, happy, comfortable vacation.
Awesome. I do think working with a travel agent, obviously, Sandy is my travel agent. It's what I think is really important is it really does help me to think and do things differently when it comes to travel. Because as a travel agent, you have so much more insight and knowledge and experience. And that really, to me, enhances the experience that I have and that our audience will have as well. So thank you so much, Sandy, for joining us. Please tell us real quickly, how can people find you?
Sure. You can email me at Sandy, that's Sandy, at dreamsareforevertravel.com. You can reach me by Facebook. My page is Dreams Are Forever Travel. You can reach me by phone at 507-540-0255.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll make sure all of that information is on the show notes so everybody can connect with you and they can get to your website and email you with any questions. And my recommendation, everybody, when I say dare to wonder, it's a big world out there. We have an amazing country. We live in a beautiful country. Call Sandy and wonder about that next destination you're going to go check out. So thank you, everyone. I will see you here next week, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you guys have a great week. Until next time, healthy living, happy life. Have a great one, everyone.